and after weeks of speculation, it seems Rocket Man has landed in Russia. Yes, Kim Jong Un's armoured train, currently thought to be heading towards the Russian space centre of Vostochny, where he may meet President Putin tomorrow.
He is in Russia for talks which could result in North Korea supplying Moscow with weapons in return for food and fuel. But the White House is also closely monitoring whether it will lead to closer future cooperation between the two states.
Let's get more analysis now from Robert Fox, defence editor at the Evening Standard, who can join us. Robert, thank you very much for your time. And interesting that the train seems to have swerved around Vladivostok and is said to be heading for the Vostochny Cosmodrome, which, just by chance, fires a lot of their satellites into the air.
Yeah, but I think neither leader is too keen on testing their credibility with an adoring public at the moment. So I think they want to meet in private. Are we allowed to call it a bit of a huddle? It's a very, very strange meeting, this. And both sides will want something out of each other. And that's what US and UK are trying to plumb at the moment, because it's not just ammunition and food for the starving North Korean population.
Yeah, just looking at the bigger picture, the sort of diplomatic hinterland, it's interesting the White House has obviously brought Japan and South Korea together in terms of rebalancing in the region. I mean, is that really what's brought Russia and North Korea together as well? They see the sort of diplomatic plates shifting?
No, it's a four-letter word for you and me, ammo. First of all, Putin desperately needs ammo for his artillery, primarily. 155mm shells, which the world is very, very short of. I'm at the big Defence Expo in Docklands at the moment, and that's the hidden message here. How are we going to arm enough in Ukraine to keep the Ukrainians going? And it's happening on the other side. But the consequences of a new deal between Pyongyang and Moscow are really quite vast and very, very difficult, because it means Putin is getting into bed with two very dodgy allies in Iran and North Korea. And what do they have written all over them? The big letter nuclear.
Are we to read into this, Robert, that for Russia, for Putin, he's really worried that the war in Ukraine, his invasion of Ukraine, is not going well? Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking North Korea for weapons.
It's very, very grueling for both sides, we have to say. And it is the first digital war. It is very super high tech at one level. But at the bottom level, it is infantry on the ground, but above all, artillery. And this is where people are really running out of munitions. I just don't mean shells, which is they want above all, but they're also going to need artillery barrel. That's barrels for guns. And that's what he will desperately want to get from North Korea. This is Mr. Putin. And they're not too reliable, we believe, these kind of munitions.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because a lot of it sort of Soviet-era weaponry, a huge stockpile, but dating back many years. One wonders just how stable some of that ammo is.
Yeah, one must worry about the quality control. And that may well be an opportunity. But I do think we also have to look at what Mr. Kim wants out of this. And he'll want, I think, help for feeding the population. And he will want help with his missile program, which is very dangerous for Ukraine, but also for the development of the nuclear arms business. And this is the awful thing now, that you've got a P5 member of the permanent five in the UN, namely Russia, abetting possibly a nuclear arms race promoted by two rogues, North Korea and Iran.
Right. This is interesting because Russia, of course, had actually backed the UN Security Council's sanctions against North Korea because it saw maybe a danger in a nuclear-armed North Korea. You know, are they changing their assessment?
I think they will do anything. The thing that is very consistent with Putin, and I'm not just being facetious, and it sounds like Cold War stuff, he is famous for not sticking to any agreement. And I think that that's why what you have just mentioned, we have to put that to one side. But there is one really hidden factor in this, and We don't know how it's going to work. At the moment, I would say the net winner from all this is China. And China, I think, must be directing things in the background. They find both North Korea and Russia as very, very awkward allies. So they will only want this relationship that we're now seeing developing further between Kim and Putin to go a certain extent. They won't want it to be a recipe for an endless war in the middle of Europe.
And just by chance, Putin met the Chinese vice premier this morning, we're told. So there's a thing.
Yeah, I think he would have been getting some writing instructions from Beijing there.
Robert, it's obviously, it is so significant because Kim Jong Un, he hasn't travelled out of North Korea since the COVID-19 pandemic. So what's that?
2017, yeah. No, he's known to that. And actually, you've got a point there. I don't want to be too pointy-headed about this, but they're both regimes built on paranoia. And that is also what is worrying, because they both actually excel. They're world beaten in paranoid, crazy propaganda. And one wonders what they're going to make of this. The fact that this has been put there, pre-advertised, prequelled almost, and being told there's been no concealing of this meeting, I wonder what's going to come next.
Robert, we quite like you being pointy-heady. Thank you very much for joining us here on the live desk. Speak to you again. Thanks.